Look at your head. Even your hair could not deal with your stupidness, and your hair ran away from you. Rubbish. Foolish. William. You should be ashamed of yourself. Just slap yourself 50 times and burn yourself when you finish with yourself.
Too much media. Tune in to Too Much Media.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this is a creative mastery channel. We talk all things creativity and how to improve yourself in order to increase your creative potential and to overall self-master for all around better life, especially for those who are creatively minded. If you're returning, I fuck with you. Thank you for coming back and do all the YouTube things so we can increase our community and just so YouTube knows that this is an active channel, like, comments, but do something because, we need movement. Anyway, speaking of movement, I'm on my walk. So I was like, okay, time to talk to y'all, time to, get in the zone. Let's just chat about a couple things or whatever. Today, what I wanted to talk about was the unfortunate truths of African parents and what you realize once you're like in your own adulthood and you no longer are being controlled and told what to do by them, and what are some things that you realize. Because I thought this would be an interesting video just because, obviously we're in the middle of our creative success course. I do feel like this is kind of a part of a creative success course, though, specifically if you are an African child, but also there's a lot of traits that African parents hold that a lot of parents hold, especially if they're foreign and they, not palm colored. So, it just be common traits that they all do, but like I'm African, so that's more where I can be specific of my knowledge of parents, because my parents are African. I don't have any other type of parents to give you examples from. And yeah, so I thought this was interesting because I had a couple points that I think that, like, once I realized these things about my parents, it literally like broke a mold in my mind that I feel as though I have never returned to again. Like I've recovered from a lot of the things that used to placate me in the past because I realized these things, and it jump started me into my adulthood into a way where I can live like very peacefully, not as far as like life is peaceful, because at the end of the day, life is life be lifing, but like my mind is peaceful, my mind is at rest. Like I'm not constantly, in turmoil in my head about, oh no, they said this is that. Like I don't feel that way ever. Well, not ever, but like for the most part, you know what I'm trying to say? So yeah, these were the things that I realized that really helped me push through as far as like adulting and also having creative freedom in a way where I don't really care, like it's me first at the end of the day. Like y'all gonna have to figure what y'all got going on for yourselves. Okay. Anyway, though, let's stop babbering. Let's get into it. First things first. I promise you, if once you get this one through your mind, this is first on the list for a very, very good reason and a specific reason, because it's the most important. Once you get this first one out of the way, you will be able to solve any problem you have ever again. Okay? Here it is. Everything they told you was correct. Put the little sound effects. I know that we like to point out our parents' faults and be like, oh, they told me this and they try to say this and try to say that. I don't agree with them. They don't know. They don't get it because they're from a different country. They don't know. They don't get it because they're from a different generation. They don't know. They don't get it because they're parents instead of kids. They don't know. They don't get it because we always have like a million reasons why they don't know and they don't get it. And so that's why it's so painful to come to the accepting that at the end of the day, they're correct. They're right. Every advice they gave you, every warning they gave you, every, course set that they pushed you towards and pushed you against, they were correct. They were right. Everything they told you was correct. And once you get that through your head that they're not wrong, like everything that they're telling you is correct, it frees you because you're no longer like doing things in order to rebel. Like you're no longer like only picking your choices based off what you feel as though they told you was wrong or right. You're now only basing it off of like what you genuinely think is your best next step forward, you know? And you have the heeding and the warnings and the advice in the background of your head that they've given you in order to help you when you need it and in order to just push you forward whenever you need it. Like it's actually good advice. It's actually sound experiences. Like at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, your parents went through life before you. And the real key reason why you need to accept in your head that everything they told you was correct is because at the end of the day, we more likely than not are repetitions of our parents. If you look at your life and how it's going and you look at what your parents early adulthood and childhood and adolescence was like, more likely than not it's quite parallel to yours, because whether you like it or not, you hold a lot of their personality traits and a lot of their temptations and all the bad things that they are likely to do, you're likely to do. All the good things they're likely to do, you're likely to do. You guys have a lot of those things in common because at the end of the day, they're the one who taught you how to be a person. So all of the things that they do wrong, you're more likely than not gonna do wrong. All of the things that they do right, you're more likely gonna do right. So at the end of the day, if you take heed to their advice and you listen carefully to what they're telling you, they're basically telling you all the things you're susceptible to. They're warning you of your susceptibilities because they've already done it. You're literally their clone. They cloned you from their DNA and made you. So you're basically them repeating it over and over. If you look at historically parents versus children, a lot of the times kids end up reliving their parents' life in a different generation. It's just a new generation of the same mistakes again and again and again and again. If you look back and you look forward, it's they all end up doing kind of the same thing. So if you look at what they've told you they've done and what messed up and things like that, you're able to kind of navigate the parts you want to go through and the parts you don't want to go through, and also what exactly led them astray, what put them off the path. And you're able to figure out, okay, what is the path I'm actually trying to do? Because that might not be the same thing that they did. But if you're blindly going through life, you might accidentally head down the same path they headed down without realizing that that's not the path that you wanted, because you didn't figure out what your path is, and you didn't figure out what their path was that they messed up because you didn't listen to them. You were always thinking that you knew better than them. You were always thinking that they didn't understand your life because they didn't live in the same time or place or this or that. Whatever excuse you're telling yourself of why you're not listening to your parents, not to say you have to follow every single small direction that they tell you T for T. I'm going to get more into that throughout what I'm going to tell you as the tips and the talking points of the unfortunate truth. But at the end of the day, the hardest hurdle to jump over when you're trying to find yourself is that they are correct and they should be heard. But here's the issue with why it's so difficult with coming to terms with the fact that they're correct. The issue is most times African parents are very, very manipulative. They will use their advice and their heedings of what they're trying to tell you in order to kind of try to direct the path that they want you to go without telling you that that's what they're doing. So they'll give you quite manipulative advice. And after a while, you start to catch on to their game. You're like, bro, you're giving me this advice, but I'm not 100% sure if this is advice you're giving me because you want the best for me, or if because you weren't able to do these certain things and you want to live vicariously through me. So you're trying to manipulate your instructions in order to get me to go where you couldn't, because you want to see me do it so it can kind of feel like you did. But instead of you focusing on yourself and making sure that you go down the path that you always wanted to, and who cares if you're at a certain age right now, just do it for yourself. Why try to manipulate my life into looking like how you wish your life would have gone? That doesn't make sense. Let me live whatever type of lifestyle I want to live. If you feel as though that this is the type of life you wish you had lived and you weren't never able to go through with it, then go do it now. Why the hell are you trying to manipulate me? Do you see what I'm trying to say? So once you start to realize that that's what they're doing, you start to like over notice the manipulation to the point where you think all the advice is just for that sake, you know, and they can't help themselves. They have to do it. They have to add a little bit of manipulation into their advice. Okay. That's how humans work. This is not about them being good or bad. This is more about human nature and our susceptibility to evil. Like, we just have to do shit like that. Like, I don't know what's wrong with us. I don't know. God sprinkled a little bit of that into the concoction just to see who's gonna decide correct versus wrong. But at the end of the day, that's what they do. So it's like, once you realize that, you sometimes want to go all the way left and be like, nah, not listening, God, done with you. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? But it's like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. Because once you do that, you can't hear the good parts of what they said. And the thing is, after a while, you start going through life and every single thing that they told you ends up being facts. But the issue is, because they mix in that manipulation that I was just talking to you about, that it ends up being that they never explained it to you in a way that your brain can conceptualize how it applies to you. They kind of explain it to you in a way where it's like how it applies to them and how they want your life to look because it applied to them in this way. Like, think about even like simple things. Like, this is something like me and all my siblings talk about all the time, of like, oh, like they never give instructions correctly. Like, think about like, okay, this happens to me all the time. One of my aunts or uncles will call my parents, be like, yeah, we're throwing an event at 3 p.m. at this address. It's gonna be for basketball, and we're giving out free TVs for the kids, and everyone gets one no matter what. Tell them to come today. Okay? It's happening today. Your parents come back. How do they explain to you what the aunt or uncle just said? Everything I just said. They'll be like, this afternoon, they were telling me to tell you to go to this place, this address. They're going to give out some sort of special thing, and they're doing, I think like soccer or something like that. And they said it's going to be at like 4 p.m. or something, and See, they'll give you all these wayward explanations. So in theory, they kind of have the whole point. It's like they're giving away free stuff. There's gonna be soccer or some sort of sport. I can't remember which one, and stuff like that. They won't mention that the fact that they're giving away free TVs. They'll get the time wrong, and they'll just maybe at best have the address itself. Like, every other detail of what's going on that day, they like communicate to you. You get there, you realize they're giving away free TVs, you realize that this is happening, you realize that you were supposed to sign up for this other thingy that they had told them about, but they didn't remember that information, this, that, and the third. By the time you get there and you talk to the aunt or uncle, you're like, what? I didn't know it was all this. I would have come earlier, or da-da-da-da. They'll be like, yeah, I told your mom. She didn't tell you. She's like, she told me, but she kind of told me. Like, she made it sound like it was this instead of that. Da-da-da-da. Like, it's never exactly what, like, they can never interpret to you the information that was given to them word per word, word per word. They just take in the gist of it and kind of just give it to you like that. So then you're like, okay, you technically, the information was correct, that this was worth you going, that you should go, that this, that, and the third, but it was like so badly explained that like you didn't take it serious. You were just like, whatever. Like, you don't think that the first thing you should have said was free TV? You don't think I would have jumped out of my bed and gotten straight there? Like, I don't understand. Like, like, this is the type of stuff they do that slowly it makes you think like, oh my God, like these people don't know what they're talking about, this and the third. But at the end of the day, they got you there. You got a TV. You did it. Like, you kind of get the, just because they didn't give you the correct information, you might have missed out on one part, but you still got to have the overall experience. You know what I'm saying? So, or they'll be like, oh, or because they said soccer instead of basketball and you like basketball, not soccer, you'll be like, oh, I don't really want to go. But the whole time you get there, I'm like, wait, it's basketball? They told me soccer. And then you're all like frustrated and stuff. So it's like, you see, like in that moment, they were correct when they told you, no, you should go. But they were wrong with all the details within what is the reasonings you should go. So the reason might not be correct, but the actual intention is correct. And that's what most of their advice is like. It's like the reasoning of why they're giving you the advice in their head is very manipulative, is very tactical, and things of that nature. But the actual advice itself is very useful if you listen to it without that background part of it. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So if you just take it for what it is and leave behind the intention and leave behind all the like, you know, emotionality to it, you realize that everything they tell you is always correct, bro. The amount of times, like, I've looked, like, something's happened to me, and I'm like, oh my God, they told me about this. They said if I do this, this will happen. They said that, you know, this is how these type of people are. They said that, like, they always will kind of tell you the gist of stuff, and you'll never think that they know what they're talking about. You'll tell yourself, oh, there was a different generation. At the end of the day, nothing on this earth is new. Nothing's new. Everything is repeating itself again and again and again and again. Whether you like it or not, this is just a cyclical cycle, this thing called life. So at the end of the day, because they've lived it longer than you and they've done it before you, they're gonna know things that nothing but experience can tell you. Like certain things you don't need, you know not to even try to explain to kids. Like when kids ask you certain questions, you know not to even start to begin to break it down for them, because it doesn't make sense to tell someone unless you live through it. And that's how it goes. It's like they're trying to tell you stuff that you can only understand through lived experience. So you gotta take in the stuff they say, but just leave them as bullet points of like, I know this, so when I witness it happening in life experience for me, remember that I have this to like kind of fall back on. You got to kind of use their advice as a safety net of like, I have this advice as a safety net. Even if you don't want to follow it T for T, point for point, you just kind of have it as a fallback mechanism of like, okay, at least I know this. Like I'm going to finesse my situation by using that part of the advice because I remember they told me about this, that, and the third. You know what I'm trying to say? That's why it's always good to keep their advice at the front of your brain, just because you might need it in a hitch. If you block out all their advice and you don't listen, it's like you're gonna set yourself up for real failure in the future, bro. Like I'm telling you, they're right about everything. And the other part is, because they describe the advice all like twisted and stuff, you don't understand how good the advice it was until something happens to you. After something happens to you, you're like, oh, that's what you meant? Like the way you described it, I was not understanding that you were trying to save me from all of this. Like I didn't get that it was gonna be as bad as it is. Like you described it, you made it seem like, I don't know, like just some random ass advice. Like, because the thing about them is they're very instinctual with their advice. Like African parents, like it will literally be a random Thursday and they'll just be like, randomly for no reason, I hope you know that whenever you leave whenever the house, door shuts on a Thursday night, that means you're not supposed to go to work on Friday. And you'll be like, what the hell? What do you mean if the door locks on the wrong way on Thursday, then don't go to work on Friday? Like, it'll be very obscure and a random. And they said that on a random Tuesday, on a random day, when nothing like that has even happened. Like, what was the reason for you even mentioning that? Like, that was such random advice on a random Tuesday that you just felt to give me about a random thing that's never even happened. And it's because it's instinctual. Something in their bones will just tell them to tell you some random ass advice, like, and they won't be able to rest until they tell you. Literally, the amount of times, like, my mom has woken up and been like, oh yeah, and mind you, I was having a dream last night that this, so you better not do this. And I'm like, I never even thought to do that. And then they're like, well, I had to tell you, I wasn't gonna rest tonight unless you knew this. And I'm like, oh my God, you couldn't rest. That is like, literally, they'll just call you, be like, yeah, something was on my mind and I have to tell you right now. And it's something you've never even thought to think to do. You know what I'm trying to say? And they're giving you advice about it. And it's like, it's just instinctual. They have to say it out loud just so they'll have peace in their mind that they said it out loud. So because it will come on a random day, on an obscure random Friday, that they gave you this advice about something you're not even in like the realm of, you'll even forget that the advice was given, or you won't take the advice as seriously as you should. Because then one day that advice is super useful and you're just like, and you forgot it. But then it happens, you go through it, and then after it happens, you remember that advice. You're like, oh, she had told me not to do that on this one day, and and I didn't listen, and and you're like, oh my God, how accurate? What are these people? What kind of magic hoodoo shit is this? And it's not no magic. It's not voodoo. It's not nothing. It's literally life experience and like listening to your own instincts. And that's basically what parenting is. Parenting is just one long instinct. It's just one long instinct. You're just thugging it, you know? Like, that's why they always have to seem like, and one thing about them, they're really good at seeming like they know what's going on at all times. Like, they're going to tell you everything with real confidence. At the end of the day, under all that confidence is someone who knows just as little as you. At the end of the day, all of us as humans, none of us are God. None of us know anything for real. We're all on an equal playing field, whether we like to admit it or not. So it's like, they don't know. They're just saying and doing whatever they can think of in the time that they can think of it, and what gives them peace in their mind to do. So it's like, you got to take it like that, okay? So I'm telling you right now, I know it hurts to admit that they're right about everything, but they are. And listen to them. Like, I'm telling you that right now. That's the main. If you don't listen to any other advice I've given you in this video, just take that. They're right about everything. How you write what they're correct about in your own story is up to you, for sure. But this proving their rightness, you'll never be able to conquer it. Life experience beats intellect, logic, and all that every single time. I promise you, life experience always has the upper hand. They always have an upper hand on you just because of that. Like, you can be way smarter than someone at 10 years old who's 20. But no matter what, that 10 years of life that they've lived that you haven't gives them an upper hand on you. No matter what. That's why we still rule over kids. The amount of intelligent kids who know more than adults that exist. Like, look at Portia from Real Housewives of Atlanta and her daughter. Her daughter be looking at her like, oh Lord, I'm definitely gonna have to be taking care of this lady into retirement. Like, she don't know nothing. But at the end of the day, she a baby. She's only 6. She's only 5. Whatever age she is. That 30 years that Portia been living, she'll never be able to outmaster her mom. So it's like, even though intellectually she might have an upper hand on her, life experience gives everyone the upper hand. If not, then intellectually, because of Portia's daughter's intelligence, she should be, for real, if we're thinking about it, beyond Portia, right? So it's like, but that's not how it works. Life experience wins. Okay, next thing. Let's move on, like, from that one. The next unfortunate truth about them is that they are super traumatized and must be forgiven. At the end of the day, no matter how like upset or pissed off or whatever it is that African parents are doing to you, you have to understand where these people have been raised. They've been raised, no matter what country in Africa you're discussing, all 54 exist with extreme levels of poverty. Okay? Even if your family's well off, they live down the street from extreme poverty. Even if you're well off in Africa, you have to witness levels of poverty that is intense every day. You have to look at it. So you know in the back of your head every day as you're looking around, even if I'm good today, even if I'm Gucci today, if one thing falls off, I'm living like these people who I'm looking at all day, every day, living in extreme poverty. One thing goes bad and that's how I have to live. What that does to your psyche and your mental, even if you're not living in poverty, let alone if you are one of those people who are living in poverty, you can't comprehend unless you go through. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, for me, one of the things that broke down my mind and my psyche and made me understand their point of view the most, and like made me understand how traumatized they were, was finally going to Africa myself. Once I went to Africa and I witnessed what they grew up around and what is considered normal to them, I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I ever like said anything, like whatever I had any harshness or like bad feelings towards y'all. Like, y'all are horrible people, sure. Like, I'm sorry to say that. Like, I'm not actually sorry to say that. They're horrible people. Honestly, a lot of these African parents, they're horrible. They are horrible. I feel no guilt saying that. They're horrendous to live with. They are literally so like vindictive, manipulative, abusive, like all the little words, like popular, toxic, all those words, they are that. But then when you go and see where they come from, like, how could you not be? How couldn't you be? There's no, like, the people here are worse than you. The people here are 20 times worse than you. You're one of the good ones because you made it away. At least you made it out. Like, what the hell? Like, a type of like mentality that people in Africa have, like, okay, like, you know how like everyone is real like respectability politics in America, for example, right? It's like in Africa, they're the type like, if you're handicapped in Africa, just die. Like, let it go. Don't try to live. Just leave it. Like, just try again. Just do if what's it called, reincarnation exists, just try again. Jump. Like, because they are like, the people in Africa will see a handicapped person and literally push them down, laugh at them, be like, oh my God, look at this guy, only got one leg, what the hell wrong with him? Push him, shove him in some mud, laugh at him, not care he's struggling. He doesn't even have a real crutches. He's using like a stick, a piece of wood, and and everyone's just laughing at him and pushing him down and not caring that he's handicapped and fighting for his life. Like, that's the type of mentality, like poverty, the level of poverty that exists in Africa, makes these people like that. Doesn't that sound wicked to you in your American brain? Like, look at how America works. We even have handicapped parking. Like, handicapped people don't even have to park far. Do you know how much harder they make your, like, we do everything we can in America to make handicapped people's life easier. They see you handicapped in Africa, they're determined to finish you off. Like, that's the type of mentality they have there. Like, and that's just a small example of like a lot of like backwards mentalities. But it's like, we call it backwards, but to them it's forward. Like, you see what I'm trying to say? Like, it's all about perspective. So it's like, that's the type of mentality they're coming from. And then you're asking them to come here and all of a sudden be good people. It's like, I can fake like I'm a good person, but at the end of the day, this is the type of mind I grew up on. What can we really ask of you? You're saying like, oh, they're bad because they're beating kids. It's like, but over there, like beating kids is like being nice to them. Like they're beyond beating kids. They're enslaving kids. Them kids is doing hard labor with the R at the end. Hard ER. Okay, y'all ain't seen hard labor yet. Like, you go there and you see kids who they've dragged from a village to work in their house and don't go to school. Like, imagine, like, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like stuff like that is normal to them. They don't think that is weird. Like, it's like, how many other weird backward stuff are they doing there? And then when you get there and you start seeing all that, you're like, oh my God, you're not a bad person. You come from a bad place. Okay? And then you realize just how much trauma that you have to go through in order to think to your and to will yourself from that place to fight, to find a way to get to a new country, start a new life, make a new identity for you. Like they literally have to reimagine their identity when they arrive here. Like you have to have an identity crisis to live in Africa and decide to leave. That's what it has to be. You have to decide that your identity just refuses to live amongst this poverty and you can't do it and it's a crisis and you leave finally. So when you get here, in order to like reimagine this new identity that is also stuck with a lot of old beliefs that don't track and don't lead to success in this new country, it's like really a very difficult process to go through. So once you like come to terms with the fact that these are traumatized people who somebody allowed to have children, you need to forgive them. I'm not saying forgive them, and like forgiveness looks different for everybody is what I want to say. It's like forgiveness for you may not be interacting with them. You might still need to cut them out of your life, but mentally in your mind, you need to forgive them, but not forgive them as in literally the person in front of you, forgive that person, but forgive the memories in your brain that you have of them that make you not forgive yourself. Like the part of them that exists within you that is you too, because your part of you is them, whether you like it or not. You got to forgive that part of yourself. The part of you that's them, you need to forgive. So forgive yourself is more what I'm saying. But for real, part of your identity is them. So you got to forgive them in the like exterior sense, but in the inward sense, you're actually forgiving yourself. That's how you change the narrative. That's how you actually really real forgive. Because honestly, I'm gonna talk about this more one day, but like at the end of the day, I don't really believe in forgiving people as in their exterior person. Like if you're in front of me and you've done something to me, I promise you, no matter what, if I say it's cool, it's cool. Like I dead ass mean it's cool. I'm not gonna go after you. I'm not gonna be vengeful. I'm not gonna be like trying to do too much. But at the end of the day, I'll never actually forgive you, like the exterior person of saying like, I'll ever trust you again, or I'll ever like, like, I don't believe in forgiveness in the way we believe forgiveness looks like. I believe forgiveness as in any person who exists outside of you is a reflection of yourself. So anything that they do to piss you off is like a reflection of something you have the potentiality to do one day. So if you don't forgive them, as in forgive the part of you that is them, you are going to actually go and do that one day and look like a hypocrite. So you got to forgive them in the sense of in your own being, forgive the part of yourself that is just like that person so that you can make sure that you're at peace with that part of yourself so you don't become like that part of yourself, which is them, because they've actually done it outwardly. But you don't outwardly forgive them as far as like letting them enter your space, letting them repeat the cycles of stuff that they're never going to stop doing to you. Like all that kind of stuff, dead it. No, don't ever allow them to keep doing weird shit to you, like, no, that's not allowed around here. But you got to forgive in your brain of like, so that you can have the mental freedom to think freely. Because then if you let that plague your mind, it's going to like stop you from doing certain stuff, it's going to stop you from really achieving that creative potential. This is why I was like, oh, this is a good topic to bring up to this channel, because like creatively, like this is one of, I feel like the biggest hurdles, like that African kids go through is like our parents like living in our psyche and like fighting inside our brain with ourselves, like with your true version and like their version that is like for them, fighting each other inside your brain. It's like if you don't forgive that person who's fighting in your brain with you, you are not going to get anything done. I swear to God, you won't. Like, you gotta forgive that person. They exist in your brain and they need to be forgiven so you can move forward. Okay? And like, another thing that made me realize that they're mad traumatized and stuff is not only just seeing where they like actually going to Africa myself and witnessing it, but it was also like meeting other members of my family who like raised them, or like who like they come from like the older crowd, like, you know, they're older than us or whatever, the parents and stuff. But once you meet like the older crowd who's before our parents, oh my God, they're like, when I'm telling you, they're like 10,000 times worse. They're like, you think that our parents are bad people. Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord. Those people are the real bad people. Those are they are the worst. They're the worst. That was my first step to forgiveness. Meeting like the older generation, like the real older generation. That was the first time I was like, okay, no, let it go, bro. Stop being mad at these people. This is like the light version. I got the light version. These ones are way, 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 way worse. Like, I got the light version. And then after I had like gotten through that first level of forgiveness, then my like final wham, like that finally finished me and made me realize like really, really let this go, was when I actually went to Africa. Like, those two things together made me like, oh my God, like it felt like my body just like, it's like an out of body experience. Like, I relinquished every part of me that was held down by like those type of like mental like holdings and stuff. It's just like, these people are extremely traumatized and I have to like forgive this part. Like, I gotta let it go, you know? Okay, the next unfortunate truth about African parents is they are the absolute worst influences on each other. Whether you like it or not, like when they get together, oh my God, that's when they really become bad people. Like, they could actually low-key be cool and chill when they're by themselves. Like, you hang out with them one-on-one, you're like, damn, low-key, you kind of cool. Like, low-key, I fuck with you. Like, you got a funny personality. Like, you actually mad entertaining. Like, you actually have some gems. Like, you have some wisdom. Like, I really learned a lot from you today. Like, you get all these, like, little things, and you're just like, nah, man, like, I had the wrong things. I had the wrong thoughts about you. Like, I actually fuck with you, right? But then once they get together, I don't know what type of like disease is within them together. Like, I don't know what type of like spirit lives amongst them when they're around each other. But you slowly start to see them revert into this version of themselves that doesn't exist when they're alone. Like, when they're together, they really, enable each other's worst traits. Like, they are the worst influences on each other. Like, you see a group of older Africans link up, just know you in for trouble. Leave. Like, they're horrible influences on each other. They always enable each other's worst inner traits, which is like competitiveness, manipulation, toxicity, and generational curses. Like, those are the only things that they like do when they're around each other. Like, that's the type of like mentality that they give each other. Like, they remind each other of the worst parts of their identities. Like, each other's personality reminds them of like that trauma that they've been through, and so they start to revert to the version of themselves that is still like traumatized by those traumatic experiences. And so they revert to those versions of themselves who have to think quick and like act in this way that they believe they need to act. Like, it's really, really bad. Like, the way that like I've seen so many of my aunts and uncles like just turn into a new person the minute they get around each other. Like they get around each other and all of a sudden like they're doing things like you never would have thought they would have done. Like you're like, whoa, huh? Since when do you do that? Since when do you da 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 da? Like you're just like, oh, okay, who's this? Like you're so confused. Like the amount of times like my aunts or uncles have like switched up on me like 180 as soon as like the other aunts and uncles come around and they like, you know, just start acting rude to me or mean to me or like say some sort of crazy thing. I remember one time like me and my aunt went to go get some food or whatever, right? And we had gotten Chipotle or something like that. And then we brought it back for everybody. And then when we brought it back, as soon, like when we were at Chipotle, everything was cool. Like we had a good day together. We got Chipotle. We did all this stuff. And you know, you like are American kid versus they're African. So they don't really care about Chipotle. They would have rather eaten rice and stew. But like for you, you're like happy because today's a Chipotle day or whatever. So it's like you guys had a good time together, right? Then we get back to the house with all the aunts and uncle. Why my aunt gonna just do a switch up? She gonna be like, yeah, I don't know why they like to eat this stuff. Look at how she made her bowl. She put all this cheese and sour cream. Da 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 da. She just started talking all this mess as soon as we got around the other aunts and uncles. But when we was alone and we was together and I was like, we were ordering the food, it was just like, what else do you order on Chipotle? Like, this is the food that they sell. Like, what do you mean I ordered this, that, and the third? Like, this is what they sell. Like, what? And she never said nothing the whole time we were getting the food. But as soon as she got around the other aunts and uncle, she started shit talking on the Chipotle. I was like, wait. She started shit talking on me that it was my fault and da 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 da. I'm like, wait, what? I thought we was all one Chipotle. And then as she started doing that, the other aunts and uncles are looking at her like, oh no, like this is how they eat it. Like this is what it is. Like it always has cheese and like sour cream and this, that, and the third. Like, no, it's normal. Da-da-da. They're like, she was like, I don't know. You know, these kids. Da-da-da. She just started acting so weird. And I was just like, what happened? Am I missing something? Is there some sort of disconnect? Why do you have to start talking mess about me and the food the minute we get around them? When we was alone, there was no issue. We was having a good day. Like, what? Bro, I almost didn't even want to eat the food after that. Like, bro, I was just like so annoyed with her when she did that because it was just like, why would you just turn 180 like all of a sudden just because we got around these people? Like, who cares about them or their opinion on Chipotle? We already decided to eat Chipotle. You brought them Chipotle too. So you shit talking the food that you already bought for them and they're about to eat. Why would you shit talk on the food that you are offering them? Like, I didn't even understand. And that's an example of like how they just like their brain just switches to being so negative when they get around each other. I don't know what the issue is. Like, this is another example I wanted to bring up. I remember one time, like when I was younger, my grandma had just died, right? So when somebody's grandmother died, who they're super like close with, who spent a lot of time in their childhood, who literally like raised them, who literally like taught them so many things, who literally like, I don't know, like what is a grandma to anybody? Like, is your literal grandmother, right? My grandma died, right? And I remember we had to like drive down. We had to take a road trip down to Atlanta to go for the funeral or whatever, right? And obviously my grandma was like, you know, most grandmas, she was a matriarch. Like she was like the head of the family. Like everybody knew her. Like she was like the go-to like last end decision maker. Like if she says yes or no to anything going on in anybody's life, it's mute. No one talks after she says something. Like, it's just what it is. You know what I'm trying to say? That's how matriarchs go. So she was like the matriarch of the family. So when she passed, everybody came for her funeral. Like, everyone had to drop everything for this funeral because it was just like, whoa, what? Like, this is crazy. Like, we can't believe she died, right? So when we was driving down, we obviously took a bunch of people with us to go see her, to go for the funeral. So we brought some aunts and uncles or whatever and whatnot. Now, we in the car driving down, and we brought this one old ass auntie. Like, I don't even remember her name. I don't know what she looks like. Like, I don't want to remember. I don't want to know. I literally couldn't care less what she's doing with her life today. But some old ass auntie came with us. I don't even know who she is. And she was on the road trip with us. So my mom had just told me that my grandma died, and obviously I'm distraught because I'm in shock, right? After my grandma died, we're trying to figure out how to get down for the funeral and stuff like that immediately. My mom gonna make me go to school the same day. Like, I'm at school just like, disheveled, like not believing that this has really happened, like, and I'm kind of thinking in my head, no, like, I don't want to go to school. Like, you literally just told me that my grandma died. Like, I'm not feeling good. I'm not even gonna be like really hearing what's going on at the school. I'm not really trying to be interacting with them kids and shit, like all these little ass hoodlums. Like, nah, like, fuck all that shit. Like, I ain't trying to hear it, right? But she made me go anyway, like, or whatever. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, you're a child. What choice do you have when they tell you stuff? Like, you just do it. So I go to school and stuff like that. But like throughout this time, I'm like not in a good mood. Like, I'm really kind of, I'm short tempered. Like, don't talk to me too much. Don't do too much. So obviously I'm not really in the mood to be being told too many things. Now we're going on this road trip. They got me squished in the back of this tight ass van full of luggage. I'm literally squished with the luggage. In between tears for my grandma and like squishness in like a 10-hour drive down to Atlanta and fatigue. And I had to go to school still and like all this stuff has been going on. Like, the past 24 hours of my life have not been going well, right? We brought this old, irritating, annoying ass auntie, like, right? And so the whole trip, like, I'm kind of like not in a good mood. So obviously I'm like just kind of like being aggy. Like, they're asking me like, do this. I'm like, oh no. They're telling me like, squish in the back. I'm like, oh my God, I'm squished in the back. Like, ow, I'm in pain. Like, I'm hurting. Like, I literally, because you know how Africans, they don't know how to pack light. They packed literally like the entire city with them when we was leaving. It was just like, I was really like barely any space in the back. And I'm the only one who's squished to the level that I'm squished, because I'm the youngest. So they're going to put me in the tightest space, of course. Right. So obviously me and my mom is having conversations like throughout the trip and stuff, like about different little stuff like, do you want this or do you want that? Or like, whatever little conversations you have with your child. Right. And every time me and my mom are talking, I'm obviously in a bad mood, so I'm not really like being that cooperative. I'm a bit like, no, like, why do we have to do that? But I'm not like being like rude or disrespectful, because at the end of the day, if you're an African child, like the levels you can go to with your parents. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, obviously, like, because I'm American, like the way we speak is a little bit more like, it's like to an African ear it sounds argumentative, but to an American ear it sounds like a conversation. To Africans, conversations are arguments. You can't talk to an African without in their head saying, look at this person try to dismiss me and act like I am one of their lessers and any sort of like dispute you have with them, or like not full and utter obedience that you have with them, to them in their brain is considered like a disruptive and like a debate and arguing, right? So me and my mom are just having like, to what in my head are just normal conversations where I'm like really not going, like I ain't going for nothing right now. I'm really not in the mood, And so after a while, the auntie tells my mom is like kind of like being like cooperative with me a bit, because she understands that like I'm sad. My grandma just died. Like, what? I'm upset. I'm not in a good mood, all these kind of stuff. So she's kind of being cooperative with me, like, oh, okay, like, why you don't want to do that? We're just like kind of talking and stuff like that, right? And honestly, sometimes she's like cooperating with me and she's getting that I'm in a bad mood. But other times she's like, this girl's in a bad mood. And she's just kind of ignoring me. She's just like, ugh, I don't have time to deal with her because I have 10,000 problems myself. Like, obviously, my mom loved my grandma too. So she's not happy either. And also, as an adult, she's like having to deal with the bigger problems of like, okay, getting gas for the car, getting the car, whose house are we going to, navigating this and that, like, 10,000 problems that adults have to think of that kids are not even realizing is things that they're calculating in their head, right? So my mom's kind of like ignoring me sometimes too, because she's kind of like, who got time to like be dealing with her bad mood, right? This auntie gonna be on the trip with us, right? On the way back, she gonna tell my mom, oh, you need to check Isatu's attitude. Like, there's something really wrong. Like, if you don't get this in check soon, she's going to be a problem. This, that, and the third. I'm thinking in my head, ho, is you cool? What do you mean? Like, my grandmother just died. Do you think that I act like this every single day of every single moment? I can't be in a bad mood. What's wrong with you? Mind your business. Why are you in our business? Like, I was just like, wanted to go off on her too. But like, obviously she's in the middle of saying that I am the spawn of Satan. So if I go off on her, like, that's going to prove her even more. But then she tells that to my mom. Oh my God. When I'm telling you my mom switched up on me 180, she turned into a whole different mom. Bro, when I'm telling you, she was like, yeah, you're right. She is acting this way. Da-da-da-da. To this day, she hasn't let me live this down, bro. To this day, because of that one auntie saying that, like, little thing about how I'm the spawn of Satan, like, it's been, like, living in her head rent-free that I might just be the spawn of Satan. That I just might just be, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like that one auntie's comment about like my behavior and me being like in a bad mood because my grandmother died, keyword, like key point in this whole story. Like, I'm literally dealing with my first real death. Like, obviously, I had been to funerals before and stuff like that, but I had never, ever, ever experienced someone I actually literally knew, grew up with, raised me, like, had, like, a very close connection to, die before this death. This was my first ever time like, dealing with death in a way where it was emotionally touching me, myself. Like, obviously, I've seen my mom and, like, my aunts and, like, everyone else. Like, I've watched them deal with death of people that they know and they're sad, but it's like in my head I'm like, yeah, I kind of remember this person, but I don't remember them at all. Oh, there's a picture of me with them when I was a really newborn, but obviously I'm a newborn. Like, or it's like, oh, this is someone you used to know back when you lived in Africa. I never met them because I never went to Africa, but you have spoken to me about them before. Or, oh yeah, that's the person I used to say hi to on the phone from time to time, but I never actually got a chance to meet them in person. Like, those type of people have died before, but it's like, you can't really like mentally like be upset about that as a kid. Like, it doesn't really like click in your head. So this was the first time where it was like somebody, I'm like, wait, dead ass? Like, I'm literally never seeing my grandma again. Are you serious? Like, nah, like for real, like, you know what I'm trying to say? This is my first time. So it's like the way I dealt with it is a way of how a child knows how to deal with things, you know? So I was expecting grace. Bro, that auntie, that evil, wicked witch auntie went and like, you know, was like trying to act like I'm being bad because like, I don't know how to deal with grief. You know what I'm trying to say? And I just thought that was like really insane. Not on her part, but I honestly at that point was annoyed with my mom because I was like, why are you allowing her to change your opinion on my behavior that you completely 100% know is 100% correlating with what we're currently dealing with? Like, do I act like this every single day at every single moment? How are you allowing this random lady that we barely know? I mean, maybe you know her, but I don't know this lady. Who is she? Y'all just picked her up and put her in the car with us. Like, I do not know her. Like, who is she? This is her first time meeting me. How is she deciding my behavior based off her first time meeting me? Is right after I'm experiencing my grandmother's death. What? And then my mom just switched up on me 180. She just started treating me bad the rest of the trip, saying that I was acting bad and that she's sick of me and and that the auntie was right. And look how bad my behavior was to the point where this aunt had to bring it up herself and warn her about me and warn, and this, that, and third. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, like every time y'all get together, y'all turn into these people. Like, y'all turn into the worst people ever. Like, y'all turn so evil and spiteful. And like, why is it that if I'm not obedient at every second, like if you can't control me like a remote control, all of a sudden I'm just the worst child ever? Like, I just didn't understand that. Like, and that's like, those are just two examples of like times I've watched like African parents like switch up based off being in each other's proximity. Obviously I can have 1,001 stories of stuff like this, but I've noticed that like it's so unfortunate that they could actually be such good people and great people if they weren't around each other. But the unfortunate truth is if they get together, they become horrible. That's the unfortunate truth. So it's like, you might think that your parent is like kind of like the worst, but if they are around a lot of other people their age group and who are fellow Africans, I promise you it's their peers who are doing this to them. Just like they like to blame our peers on why we act the way we act, I promise you their peers are having the same direct influence on them that they don't want to admit, just like they are claiming that our peers have on us. It's the same thing happening to them. They think that they're immune to the things that they're telling us about, but it's happening to them too. They become bad parents because they witness other bad parents. Like, a lot of parents in the African community are super like wicked and vindictive, and so they get around each other and they think that type of parenting and behavior is okay, and so they pass it on. So because that lady is probably like wicked and evil to her kids, and she didn't see my mom reenacting that type of like, typical African mentality type parenting, she like tried to pass it on to her because she didn't want to see a child go undisciplined in her head. You know what I'm trying to say? She didn't want to see it happen. She couldn't. Her soul hurt. And that's where that like it takes a village mentality sometimes turns really bad and evil, What is happening? I'm having a bump right here. What the hell? Okay, anyway, to move on to my next one. Okay, the next one is never identify or internalize anything they say. That is an unfortunate truth. The unfortunate truth is, if you are going to decide to keep these people in your life and make them a part of your next stage in life of adulthood and continuing in whatever path you have set for yourself, you cannot allow yourself to internalize or identify with anything they say to you or about yourself. The minute you do that, you've set yourself up. You've set yourself up for failure. Like, you can have them around, you can listen to them, you can but never internalize, never identify, never let the words that they speak onto you become you. Never allow that the words that they speak onto you move you emotionally. The minute you're able to be emotionally moved by their words, they know they got you. At the end of the day, a lot of the times they are trying to test whether or not they can make you identify with what they're telling you are. And they are trying to test if they can internally shift your emotions based off the things that they say. So a lot of the times that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to pick at you. They're trying to make you like trigger. They're trying to make you move so that they can put a narrative on you. So it's like, never allow them to do that. They don't even understand that that's what they're doing a lot of times. But I promise you, whether they understand it or not, you got to look at what it is for what it is. That's what they're doing. They want to see you moved. Like, they want to see that they have an emotional impact on you. If they peep that, like, everything they say, you never are emotionally moved, you're just like, okay, whatever. Like, if they peep that you are always like that, you start to slowly notice that they get bothered. It's like, you was trying to bother me, and now that you see that I'm not bothered by you trying to bother me, now you're bothered. Huh? Make that make sense? Like, and I've witnessed this time and time again, where it's like, because you don't care that they're trying to make you care, now they care that you won't care, that they won't, that you don't care, that they're trying to make you care. I'm like, what the hell? Like, it's a real sick mentality, but it's used to kind of like test whether or not like they can manipulate you. It's kind of like a manipulation test of like, let's see where are their buttons? How much can I make them go left or right or this way or that? And how do I have to do it? Because like, you got to peep game about them too. They're always trying to peep game about us. You got to peep their games too. The one thing about them is like, they're always like trying to narrate what this child is. Like, if you listen to them have conversations about us, like about the children, about they'll always be like, yeah, that one is like this. Like, they're really good, but if you ever put them here, then they start to do this. Oh yeah, that one, she's really high-tempered. They'll always be trying to like narrate what it is that this person is like. They're always trying to write what you are immediately. So it's like, if you allow yourself to listen to that and like they said, oh, you're like this, and then boom, you'll start to slowly act out what they say you are. So they'll be like, oh yeah, she's high tempered. So then all of a sudden you're going to start thinking in your head, you're high tempered, and always use your temper. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Or they'll say, oh yeah, you know, if you ever want them to do go do this, you got to tell them that there's this at the end. And then so slowly you'll never be able to move unless there's this certain thing at the end. You see, they'll always try to talk it so that way they can know how to exactly manipulate you. And if they get you to agree and exist within what they've said you are, then then that makes them feel at peace, because they always know in their head how they can get you to do things. So you gotta 100% never ever agree. You gotta rebuke it every time they try to say what you are or who you are or what you're like. You gotta rebuke it every time, so that way you can grow. Because at the end of the day, when you allow yourself to overly exist within a certain narrative about yourself, you can never grow, because you can't change. Growth is change. Growing things and changing things is basically the same thing. In order for something to grow, it must change as it grows. So if you stay within whatever the narrative that they say is about you, and you internalize the things that they say about you, you will be emotionally stagnant, and therefore the other parts of your life will also stay stagnant. Never ever allow yourself to internalize the things that they're saying about you and be emotionally moved by their words. They're just words at the end of the day. You got to remember that when they're speaking about you or to you. You got to remember, these people are just people just like me. These people are just saying things. They're just words. I don't have to take it. My words are just as powerful as their words. Words are just words. I can just speak a new narrative if I don't like the one they're saying. I don't have to be what they're saying that I am. At the end of the day, they're trying to say that because they want to know exactly how I'll act in every situation, so that they can control how situations will go. Because of the trauma that I was telling you guys about before, a lot of times trauma comes with a need for control. When you are traumatized, you want to control your surroundings in order to know that whatever traumatic event previously happened to you won't happen again. You feel as though that if you can control the events around you, you can control whether or not trauma will happen. So that's what their issue is. They're trying to control you. They're trying to manipulate what will happen next with you so that they can feel empowered. So that makes them feel more empowered. That makes them feel more at ease. That makes them feel more peaceful. You can't allow that to be internalized within you. It's not coming from an authentic place. It's coming from a trauma-filled place. So remember that constantly about them. Okay. I have one more and then we're out. The last thing about African parents that is an unfortunate truth is that the best thing that you could ever do with them is to be disowned. I know that sounds crazy after everything I've said about, being able to keep them in your life and and forgiving them and all this other stuff, advice that I gave. A lot of my advice is very contradictory. The reason that my advice is contradictory because the advice shouldn't be taken as is. It should be taken very, very subjectively. You need to use the parts of the advice that apply to you. That's why everything always sounds like a contradiction, because you should constantly be contradicting my advice. A lot of times I will literally speak advice and purposely go and do the opposite of what the advice is, because I don't like to keep my mind in a place where it's stuck on a certain mental state of how to live. You got to constantly be able to contradict yourself. If you can't contradict yourself, you stay stagnant. You stay stuck in a way of thinking that may not apply to every single situation. Every situation and advice is subjective. But at the end of the day, the reason why the best thing you could probably do is be disowned is because a lot of the times what they want. What is in the word disowned? Owned. If you are not disowned, you're owned. So you got to think about your life like that. Do you want to be owned by somebody? What is ownership of a person? What is that? Do you guys remember what they did to us 400 years or whatever, for 400 years or whatever they say? Yeah, that's what that is. The best, and a lot of times because of that, past trauma of what happened to our people, they want to live as in the experience of the opposite version of what that trauma-filled experience is. So instead of being the owned one, they want to be the owner. Okay? A lot of times African parents think that being your parents means ownership over you, means getting to control every aspect of you, means getting to inflict their will on you constantly. And you can never allow someone to own you. That's the worst thing you can do in life. Ownership over you is literally a disease that will kill you. You can't allow it. The best thing you can do for yourself is be disowned by those people. At the end of the day, just because they disown you, it just means that they will no longer have ownership over you and you are free for your own will to do as you please. That doesn't mean that they can't still love you if they can find it in their heart, in their head to love you in your terms, in your conditions. You can never allow yourself to have a relationship with them that doesn't have your terms and conditions apply. You have to create some terms and conditions with how they're going to exist in in your life. If they don't want to exist in your life under your terms and your conditions, at the end of the day, be disowned. Own yourself. You cannot let these people own you. The best thing you can do is have complete autonomy and ownership over yourself. That is the only thing that's going to allow that growth, that freedom, that relinquishing of spirit, that wellness in you. That's the only way you're going to see yourself do more, be more, create more, be like the full version of yourself. At the end of the day, no matter what, if you're not disowned by them, at one point in your life, you don't go through that process for yourself, there's always going to be a small part of you that is under their whim and under their thumb and owned by somebody else. There's always going to be a small part of you that is animalistic, that can't be tamed, that can't be controlled because it's controlled by somebody else. Somebody else holds the leash. Somebody else holds the control. You will never have that control over yourself completely ever. And think about what people are at the end of the day. We're all humans and we're not going to exist on this earth forever, whether we like it or not. That's something like a lot of times as Africans, we don't like to talk about it. We like to act like it's not true. It doesn't exist. But at the end of the day, talking about it doesn't make it more or less true. It's the truth. We're not all going to exist here forever. If you don't find a way to be disowned by these people so that you can own yourself completely, then one day they're going to be gone and then you're not going to know how to control things for yourself. You need to do that while they're still around. So then that way, like, whether they're here or not, you're able to still exist. You can't control how life is going to go. So like, even if you do end up doing everything they want you to do and you kind of do follow the path that they set for you, you got to make sure that that is under your own terms and conditions. That is what you wanted for yourself. That is what you are deciding. You are the one who owns those decisions. Those decisions are not owned by somebody else. And if it means that you got to not do those decisions and they got to say, oh, well, now you're not my child and da 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 da, because they're very dramatic African parents. They're very like all or nothing. Either you're all in with me or you're all out with me. I don't care. It's one or the other. That's how they are. I don't know what it is, but that's how they are. They're very all or nothing. But if it means that it's nothing instead of all, you got to take nothing, in my opinion. In my opinion, you got to take nothing. I don't believe you can be creatively a master and be owned by somebody else. I don't believe it. You can't. At the end of the day, what that even goes against what creativity is as a concept. Creativity in itself is a thought of that you are getting from the source itself. Source itself has to be pushing forward your thoughts and ideas and opinions when you're talking about creativity, because you have to be able to do it regardless of somebody else's existence next to you. If somebody else has to be there to tell you T for T what to do next, that's not creativity. That is literally the opposite of creativity. That's not how it works. You will never be a creative master and not be disowned. You must get disowned. You have to do everything in your power to be disowned, in my opinion. Do what you can, man. Go against the grain. Like, that is going to be one of the, as an African child who's raised by African parents, that's going to be the biggest and most important step of your creative mastery, is getting disowned. And it's not going to look the same for everybody, you know? Your disownership might be something really small. Like, your parents have always told you to do laundry on Sunday and you now do it on Saturdays. But everything else they've ever told you to do, you do it. But that was the one thing that for you, like, if you did it their way, it just wasn't going to go for you. Like, you just weren't going to be at peace. It might be something small. Or yours might be extreme. They've always told you to, you know, become an engineer, and you decided you want to be a lawyer, you know, instead of mathematics, you picked science. Instead of, intellectual literature, you picked, artistic, whatever. Like, it could be something small, your decision, or it could be something extreme. Whatever that is, that means for you, you need to decide that for yourself. I can't tell you that either. Your disownership doesn't need to be extreme if that's not that's not the path your life is taking. But if your path is an extreme one, you need to take it too. I don't care how difficult it looks. I don't care how daunting it seems. That's what it is. That's what God laid out for you. Unfortunately, any path you picked in life is going to be slightly unfortunate. You might as well just go. You want to do it under somebody else's terms or under your own? Huh? I'm asking you for real, deadass. I'm asking you want to do it under somebody else's terms or your own? Okay, so decide, and the problem with, that's why I'm telling you, you gotta decide for yourself too, because it's the problem is it's gonna be an everyday decision. Because each time, the first time you make the decision is not the actual time you make the decision. It's every single day. You gotta make the decision daily. Every time they tell you go left or go right, you gotta decide whether or not you actually agree to go left or go right. It's a daily decision, because you might disown something they say one time, but then after that, you get comfortable and you go straight back to it. You know what I'm trying to say? You got to decide every day to be autonomous. You got to decide every day to not listen. You got to decide every day to go against the grain. It's so you wake up and decide type thing. But yeah, I feel like I have given enough examples of unfortunate truth about African parents. This is coming from firsthand experience, so I feel as though this is actually really good and well thought out and sound wisdom and based off lived experience. What's it called? Like I said, I need you guys to interact with the channel. So comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, so that way the channel looks like it has some movement on it. And if you stay to this very, very end, I know you probably have to be a literal African child. I don't think anybody who's not an African child could have listened to me ramble on for that long. But I fuck with you, I mess with you, and I'm gonna see you guys on the next video. Goodbye.
All in my mind is playing, ramping YouTube. I need to stop the ramping. Okay. I need to stop the plane. I need to stop the ramping.
Okay.
Everything I don't know, my friends know the word. Everything I don't know, I only have plain ramping YouTube in my head.